the good friends, the ones we hold dear, the ones who will tell us what we need to hear, the ones who love us, right or wrong, and to all those good friends that give you this song.
Well, hello, good friends, and welcome back to The Last Walk, Remember When, with your host, Ron Baumbach. And today we're going back in time to a mystery year. Can you name the year? Soak it up, get off your easy chair, walk over to your icebox, reach in deep in the back and take out a 7-Up. Pop it open, pour it into a tall glass, sizzle and fizzle and tickle your nose. Reach out into your oven, pull out a crispy Belgian waffle. There's a big hint there. Walk back to your easy chair. Turn on your lava lamp, close your eyes, get ready. The Last Walk is back.
Life is too short, we get only one turn. With luck we find beauty, but we sometimes get burned. But if you've had a true friend, or perhaps a love, you've experienced a piece of heaven above.
So friends, what year was it? Our former President Ronald Reagan had his last movie with Angie Dickinson and Lee Marvin in a movie called The Killers, written by the great Ernest Hemingway. Now it was a great year for music. The Beatles' initial appearance, their inauguration into America on The Ed Sullivan Show. They had 9 hits that year in the top 100. The number 2 group was the Dave Clark 5, who were glad all over. And don't forget Mary Wells, who had the hit song My Guy.
It's nothing you can say could tear me away from my guy.
And the Supremes, Where Did Our Love Go? And of course the Rolling Stones. And a guy named Bob Dylan wrote a song that later became a really big hit for the Turtles. It Ain't Me, Babe.
Go away from my window, believe at your own chosen speed.
And we didn't go away from the window. We stayed tuned and we listened a lot more to all those hits from that year. And the Animals let us all know about A House of the Rising Sun. What year was it? It was a few months away from the sad times of the Kennedy assassination, and a very terrible stigma in our society with the brutal murder of a girl named Kitty Genovese in Kew Gardens, Queens, while some 35 people watched or heard and didn't say one single thing. Sad. Our country was sadly living through a great deal of racial unrest, with a lot of uprisings going around. A lot of it due to the sick murder of 3 civil rights workers in the state of Mississippi, which led to the Civil Rights Act, which was signed that year. Now, the U.S. Surgeon General announced that smoking may cause cancer. And an actress named Liz Taylor married her beau, Richard Burton, for the first time. She was married, as you may recall, 8 times, twice to Richard Burton. Who were the other guys she wedded? I know Eddie Fisher was one, Mike Todd, Conrad Hilton, I believe. Who were the others who married Liz Taylor? Now, a stamp back then cost a nickel. The average home price was $13,000. A gallon of gas, 30 cents a gallon. A prize fighter from, I think, Kentucky, Louisville, named Cassius Clay, beat Sonny Liston to become the heavyweight champion of the world. He later became Muhammad Ali. Now, in the World Series of that year, a player named Mickey Mantle, playing in his last World Series event. In Game 3, with the score tied 1-1 in the bottom of the ninth inning, hit his then record-setting 16th World Series home run, breaking the great Babe Ruth's record. It was what is now called a walk-off home run. They didn't call him back then, but Mickey hit a walk-off home run in the ninth inning. He went on to hit 2 more home runs in that series, ending with 18. He hit 35 home runs that year, his last great year, even though he played in constant pain, which he played throughout his career. The catcher for the Cardinals was a gentleman named Tim McCarver, who caught 37-year-old Barney Schultz, a knuckleballer, pitching in his first World Series event. Also from the sports front, a great place called Shea Stadium opened up on the grounds in Queens, once owned by the Hill family, an area in the 1880s which was known for sporting events. Now, a gentleman named John Scheel wrote an article in the Nassau County Historical Society Journal from way back when. The year was a year ahead of the year we're talking about now. And in this journal, John wrote about the land where the Met Stadium was being built had been a baseball field in the 1880s. It was owned and operated by a gentleman named Harry Hill, who had run a sporting and dancing establishment in downtown New York. Harry's place was known as the only reputable viol house in New York City, quote unquote. It was patronized by politicians, sporting people, and ladies who were gay if not virtuous. Now, gay meant different things back then. Harry wrote his house rules in rhyme. If you wish here to remain, do not talk loudly or profane. There were other suggestions made. A gentleman does not sit while a lady stands. A drink is brought after each dance. Drinks were served at the table by a waitress. Ladies were admitted free, and gentlemen were to act as such. With the reputation for his prowess as a former wrestler, Harry Hill had little trouble enforcing his rules or seeing to it that they were carried out. And that's the gentleman who owned the property, which eventually became Shea Stadium in Flushing, Queens, or as my dad said, Corona Park, Queens. And the Mets opened the park in April of that year. Willie Stargell from the Pittsburgh Pirates on opening day got the first home run ever hit in Shea Stadium. The stadium was torn down years later, replaced by what is now called Citi Field, where more memories have been made. Lifelong Met fan, I love that park. Now the Dow Jones was hitting a high of 840, I believe. Right now it's like 21,000. A big difference in the money days from way back when. And in that year, our Congress actually endorsed the Vietnamese War. So what year are we talking about? Do you know what year it was? The year is... A huge event happened on the fairgrounds that took place 25 years earlier in the same area. Let's give you a big hint. And what do you think happened that year?
Part of the fun of the World's Fair is the Subway special that takes you there.
There's a good time feeling in the air.
On the Subway special to the World's Fair. Trains are easy to catch anywhere,
Anytime, night or day.
Just pay 15 cents,
Hop aboard!
and you're on your way. Yes, part of the fun of the World's Fair is the Subway special that takes you there.
Your transit authority has 430 spanking new picture window cars for the elevated ride to the World's Fair. Express trains start at Times Square and Grand Central, and you're safely at the fair in less than 20 minutes. Take it easy. Take the subway.
Yes, part of the fun of the World's Fair is the Subway special that takes you there.
This is the 1964-65 World's Fair. And the year we're talking about is 1964. What are your memories of the year 64? And what are your memories of the Great World's Fair? I was very fortunate to be able to go many times to the World's Fair. How about yourself?
Oh, I've been so lucky and I've been so blessed. In spite of my failings, I've found success. For I've known love and I've known good times, and I have known friendship and written some rhymes.
Now, the theme of the fair was Peace Through Understanding, and it was dedicated to man's achievement on a shrinking globe in an expanding universe. Do you recall the main centerpiece of the fair? The main thing you always saw was a 140-foot high, 700,000-pound stainless steel Unisphere, the most recognizable symbol of the fair, and it's still there. It's become the icon of Queens, still standing there in the park, right near where it is now Citi Field, and the tennis stadiums. In fact, if you had to meet somebody, you always said, "Meet me by the Unisphere." There was all water around it and shooting up water in the sky out of the water. There was like the streams of water shooting up, and everyone would go there and walk around. It was a beautiful sight to behold. What are your memories of that? Who did you meet? Did anyone fall in love at the fair? Anyone meet their love of their life while walking through the fair? How many times did you go to the World's Fair? What was your first visit like? What was your last visit like? Did you go both years? And how did you get there? Did you take the subway like our little commercial just had? Or did you take the car and drive in and park in the lots? Or take the Long Island Railroad? Or maybe you flew into LaGuardia Airport or JFK. Now, I've learned that for some odd reason, this was not an actual sanctioned World's Fair. Many countries did not attend, did not come, because it was not officially sanctioned by whoever runs the World's Fair group. But I believe Canada was not there, Britain was not there, I believe, but many other countries were. Many people who were there, many companies who were there, were organizations that were corporations, like GE and Ford and General Motors, etc. Pepsi. One of my favorite areas of all was the Pepsi Cola Pavilion with It's a Small World. I love that ride. And it carries on now in Disney World, where It's a Small World is my favorite spot to go. So join me now again as we go back in time. Close your eyes, sit in that chair. You're going for a nice ride back in time in the Pepsi Pavilion in the 1964-65 World's Fair. And on a side note, thank you to Disney for keeping this alive, so all the children every day of the year can enjoy the ride we all did way back when. Here we go. We're about to envision a life in It's a Small World.
Now it's time to join the passengers on a musical cruise to visit the children of It's a Small World. Bon voyage. Here we enter the children's world of imagination, fun, and laughter as we start our globe-circling tour in the Scandinavian country. During our voyage, we'll visit more than 100 lands. Let's see how many we can identify.
Finns bara måne och gyllene sol och ett leende som är vår vänskapssymbol. Över berghaven blå är en hälsning vi får. Det är en liten, liten värld.
These toy soldiers guard Copenhagen's Tivoli Garden. Drop in on the Emerald Isle, land of shamrocks and leprechauns. A wee bagpiper welcomes us to Scotland.